Okay, cue musical intro. Boy, that's brilliant. I do think some things in the world are real. Like you guys. You guys are real. Most of you. Most of my listeners, I think, are not just in my head. I think I have the metrics to prove it. You've taken a leap of faith today. What is that sound? And I apologize if you take offense. I'm a little offended myself. Welcome to our show. Welcome to the future. What it is, joining you live from sunny California. It's a beautiful day today. I'm your host, Nathan Stoltman. And I bring you the news, the real news. What it is, oh, that didn't work out that great. What it is, everybody. Let me put my thing up here. I didn't have a video intro today. It's hard to pick those out every single time when you're doing a show once a week. Doshi, I don't know. He hasn't even come into the garage yet. I think probably now that he'll hear me talking, he might come out here. So you might see him. He might get some lap time even. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for tuning in and being on time because you didn't have any time to spare this time. I have a bunch of different things I can talk about. Let me see. I have a bunch. Maybe I'm just louder than I think. I have a bunch of different things I can talk about, and I'm going to talk about actually. So it's not just what I can talk about. There was a report. What should I talk about first? Why don't I get into the positive thinking matrix or whatever? People sometimes have a violent reaction to the idea of positive thinking or the idea that we create our universe and that we have power over our health and our relationships and our well-being and even the physical universe around us. People who who think that things aren't going that great in their life will sometimes think that they're being blamed then for their effed up life, or their cancer or their, whatever it happens to be, that they're going to say, oh, they're bad people, bad things happen, and you can't just wish it away. It's true. It's actually true. So it's not positive thinking. So for those people, I understand. Nobody's saying that it's your fault because of your thinking, that you're in whatever situation you're in that you find negative, I guess. Bad things happen, no matter how well you think. This is a co-created universe, and theoretically, well, the problem is that bad things don't happen. Things happen. They're not good or bad. So it has to do with the way you approach it too. So a lot of this positive thinking isn't about things being objectively better, but just that you compute the information going in better. That people who are attuned to this kind of thinking or faith will try to apply that in their least favorable circumstances, So for me, right, I could just be totally, right now, I could be totally just depressed. My channels got shut down. I lost my Patreon people. I went to see Quinn and people, some people are think it was a stupid idea. And meanwhile, I did it. And meanwhile, I had a fake girlfriend, live with my dad, haven't been able to go on a date in, a year and a half. And then every girl that comes into my life is a spy, so I can't trust anybody. My friends all turned against me. I don't have any friends in this area, that's a lot of stuff that could be really depressing. But, it really depends on how you look at it and how you use it, because the things that you think are bad things are good things if you're using them for your own personal growth. We are, like I said, we're in a trauma-based mind control matrix, either that or a video game or an ARG. The intention is for us to go crazy, for us to have our ego destroyed and realize, what it's like from the bottom looking up, so that we can have a true appreciation for the things we do have in this universe. Grace, we want to be grateful for what we have. And cognizant of the problems around us, cognizant of the injustice and inequality, and do our best to change that. And that's a little bit what it's like too, is manifesting a better future by the things you do right now. Instead of complaining about things, take them as they are and build toward the future that you want to create, that you want to see. That's the positive thinking. Positive thinking leads to positive action. So positive thinking is maybe the wrong words for it. Faith. And then getting into the nature of time, it's hard for people to understand that you can create the past from the present. So things look bad, your whole life looks bad. Maybe if you're feeling depressed, if you're feeling down, you might think, oh my gosh, all these things got me to here. But with a change, that past can change. And maybe just in a virtual way, that you think about it differently. So you think about the bad things that happen, the things that stick out, the things that changed your life. And you think about them in terms of how you got to where you are now and why, it was necessary for you to go through that. So I wanted to talk. Yeah, that's positive thinking. I know some people really have like a visceral reaction to it, where they think, I can't, it's ridiculous. Like I'm leading people down the wrong path, making people think, oh, it's all just a joke and you can just think your way out of it. It's not a joke. There's cause and effect. People appear, we see people die. We see bad things happen to people. We have bad things happen to us, or what people call bad things. But we have been taught that things are different than that, that there is a spiritual way, that there's a way where things just are. Buddhism teaches that. Jesus was kind of Buddhist. You have to have faith that things are the right way. So, and remember that you couldn't have gotten to this place without every single thing that happened, and things are the way they're supposed to be. You have to have faith in that. If you think things are not the way they're supposed to be, that this isn't part of the plan, then think about that. Because if it's not the way it's supposed to be, then why do you exist? You're here for a reason. We all are. So, and we all create this thing we call reality. So you have to say, well, we got here, this moment, the only thing that's real. Obviously, it's important for us to be here, and then think about it. Think about how you can change things, how you can change yourself. So that's my opening. I have a number of things going on. It's 1:22 p.m. on Wednesday, July 19th, 2017. And I'm going to show you the latest thing from the dramas on the dramas on the YouTube and the Twitter. I got a note. This is what this Dave Sweigert character has been sending out these notices that were being reported, that like Jesse Spots and myself are being reported to fusion centers. I don't know. Maybe it's real. It's really bizarre though. And I never get sent these letters. They're always just sent from on Twitter, and I'm tagged. I'll show you. Cyber ethical hacker. That's Dave Sweigert. This is a Los Angeles Joint Regional Intelligence. I have it over here. This is slide thing he set up. This is the suspicious activity report. Los Angeles Joint Regional Intelligence Center, which is what David Bowditch, I believe, was running for the FBI during the San Bernardino case. I actually went after David Bowditch quite a bit. And I had talked about these fusion centers, which are just total infringement on personal privacy. It's totally illegal what they do. They do stalking campaigns and harassment campaigns, and they don't stop anything. They're just informants a lot of times, or people tied up with local businesses that are spying on their employees. That's involved in fusion centers, and also involved in InfraGard. InfraGard, another that's a public-private partnership that's related to these fusion centers. Anyway, it's alleged racketeering, wire fraud, and cyber stalking crimes. So I'm the one, right? The target of evaluation, which is a TOE, for this suspicious activity report is Nathan Ames Stoltman, age 38. And there's my telephone I use for the show. Operates YouTube channels Lift the Veil 2, Lift the Veil Live. The TOE is presently engaged in alleged violations. The TOE is me, so Nathan is presently engaged in alleged violations of California Penal Code 646.9 via the distribution of YouTube videos that target contractors and staff of the U.S. Department of Homeland Security. The TOE has received and has acknowledged receipt on several occasions cease and desist warnings to halt his YouTube harassment of individuals involved in the protection of critical infrastructure. That's not true. I haven't received any cease and desist warnings. I've acknowledged that you've sent me bullshit on Twitter, and that, looks like you know how to draw it up. But no, I haven't received any credible cease and desist. I had a bunch of phone calls from you, George Webb, who's also Dave Acton, I believe. DeFango, Tracy Beans, Monograph, all seeming to follow some sort of team narrative to make me stop. That was something. That was like a cease and desist, I guess, but it wasn't delivered very elegantly, nor was this. So that's not true. I don't know if this stuff's for real. Under review fusion is what it says. Like it's really under review. I don't know. Maybe we're supposed to believe it more now. I was ribbing Jesse Spots about it. Jesse Spots won't talk. Nobody. There are a lot of people I'd love to talk to that I think are worried that I'm a spiritual vampire of sorts. Jesse Spots might think that. So I'm trying not to be. I think I am a little bit. I think I have gotten energy from other people, vampirically perhaps, not intentionally. Usually when they attack me, that gives me energy. So I don't know if it's vampirism. But Jesse Spots is on this notice as well. The TOE, the target of evaluation, is believed to be an associate of Jesse Spots. They have his whole name too. Associate Jesse Spots is presently the target of a potential criminal investigation pursuant to Maryland Annotated Criminal Code Section 3-108 for the alleged harassment of a federal employee known as Anita K. Sweigert of the U.S. National Institute of Standards and Technology. The U.S. Attorney for Knoxville, Tennessee, should be consulted for further information because he filed something about Spots already in his home state in Tennessee. And then they say George Webb Sweigert, that both of us appear to be aligned with George Webb. Associate George Webb Sweigert is presently the focus of an investigation concerning the dirty bomb hoax at the Port of Charleston. The dirty bomb hoax? That doesn't sound very official. the dirty bomb hoax at the port of Charleston, South Carolina. I think he blew it there, but who knows? Port of Authority and or Coast Guard should be consulted for further information. Here's another one. I think this is the one on spots. This one was just for spots. And look, I mean, it's addressed to the U.S. Attorney's Office. And it says suspicious. Just a suspicious activity report in the background. Attention to somebody at the DOJ. Alleged wire fraud activities originating in the Eastern District of Tennessee. This suspicious activity report concerns the following individual, Jesse. This individual is presently a person of interest in a criminal investigation commenced by the Montgomery County Sheriff's Department in Maryland for apparent violations of Maryland Annotated Criminal Code Section 3-108. The investigation stems from the use of the YouTube channel known as Jesse Spots. The subject of this SAR has publicly distributed 2 videos which have implicated the undersigned and Anita K. Sweigert of the NIST and technology in NIST in a massive deception. In a quote, massive. I see. This is what he said from the videos. Quote, massive deception to push the transhumanism agenda with other powerful families to create cloning centers. The subject of the SAR styles himself as a researcher while receiving funds and monies from a variety of sources from subscribers to watch his quote-unquote research videos. The net result of these deceptive videos have been to tarnish the reputations of the victims involved. This has led to the cancellation of important initiatives related to the protection of this nation's critical infrastructure. The subject of the SAR has acknowledged receipt of 1, an electronic evidence preservation demand, and 2, cease and desist demand within the last few days. The subject of the SAR continues to refuse all reasonable attempts to achieve his cooperation in removing these videos. Well, it's weird that it's a preservation demand, which is asking to keep the videos, and then a cease and desist, talking about removing the videos. Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, so that's what's up on that front. I still need to talk about those guys because they're involved in a massive deception, it seems. But I don't know their motives. It seems to be their motives are the protection of critical infrastructure. And it seems like he's saying they work for the government, that it's a government operation. It basically says that in there. This has led to the cancellation of important initiatives related to the protection of this nation's critical infrastructure. They had to cancel their project because of me and others, but mostly because of me, I guess I could say. Which is why I got the brunt of the, Dave Sweigert has a reputation as a serial harasser and gang stalker. And considering the activities against me, I tie a lot of it. It seems a lot of it was related directly to Dave Acton, a.k.a. Dave Sweigert, a.k.a. George Webb, I believe, until he shows his face, which he refuses to do. And I was there in Mount Shasta to meet Dave Sweigert, and he didn't respond to my request. It would have been nice to get an interview with the guy, as long as he's threatening me all the time. So I don't know. This isn't an official, when you're notified on Twitter, it's not an official thing. So what he's doing then would be illegal, I believe. It's like a threat. It's harassment. So I'm going to look into that. I'm already going to court tomorrow against somebody I thought was harassing me. So I don't mind doing it for real. I'll send you, I'll get you served and everything. So I'm curious if it's real, then let's make it seem a little realer than these paste bin or slide share things that you're sending on Twitter. Doesn't seem that official. You know where I live, my real phone number, all that stuff. So if, I don't know what your game is. If it's real, maybe you should let us know that it's real instead of just fucking around on Twitter. And then we know, oh, wow, this is crazy. We're under investigation just for saying that you're playing the character known as George Webb, just for saying that. And then Jesse Spots because he goes off about cloning centers. I don't know, though. The cloning centers thing, yeah, I don't know that you and your family necessarily seem directly connected to transhumanism and cloning centers. I really don't have that evidence. So that's all Jesse. That's all Jesse. I'm gonna stay away from that one. But the other thing, the thing I said, yeah, we don't seem to have much evidence that I'm wrong at this point. So I don't know, man. I don't know what's up with this stuff. You guys can tell me whether you think they're real, because maybe I don't have to get served. He's just letting us know he filed a report. Under what authority? Is he saying he's a government informant officially, and this was officially a government operation run by the DHS? Is that what he's saying? Because then we have it officially. Okay, it's a government op, including George Webb. So that's what we're actually talking about today is government operations and trolls. Somebody sent me a video made by somebody called NS. Oh man, I can't remember the name. It's like NSO or something like that. A channel I'd never heard of with like 60,000 subscribers. And anyway, they showed this report. Let me see if I can get it to where it'll be good for you guys to read. Okay, so this report. It came out just this year, and I believe, recently enough that it's just hitting the radar of certain people, like this one YouTube channel that was covering it. Maybe I'll give you the name to that channel since we're being nice to everybody. I'm just going to find my history, because this is how I learned about it. Instead of playing that video for you, I just decided to go over it myself. WSO. So there's a channel called WSO. They covered this. That's how I found out about it. Let me stretch. Okay, great. Let's take a look. Excellent. Oh, it's weird. It shows in black. It's really weird. On my screen, it's totally blue. Huh. How weird is that? Yeah, that's strange. Are the other colors messed up? Oh, yeah, it's messed up here, too. That should be blue. That's a blue thing there. How weird. Okay, anyway. Yeah, that's really weird. I wonder if I have to adjust my colors. So this is the thing that was referred to. It's an Oxford paper by a couple of grad students, I believe. Samantha Bradshaw and Philip N. Howard. Troops, Trolls, and Troublemakers, a global inventory of organized social media manipulation. And this report, they studied a lot of news articles, and they studied a lot of different reports from they seem to have scoured the internet for a lot of different things. They said they had 83 different articles that were able to inform this reporting. And it's all stuff that I've seen. It's all stuff they've done to all the channels that have been complaining about it. I don't see the troll comments. I don't see the astroturfing and stuff on other channels that I see on mine. Mine is, I hate to say it's all about me, but I haven't seen any channel that's as bad as what they've done on mine. So I've had a chance to see the methodology that they use, and they talk about a lot of those techniques in here. So let me get into it. Let's see. Oh, yeah, I highlighted stuff. Great. So this just talks about what cyber troops are. Here we go. Social media and democracy. Social media platforms like Facebook and Twitter have also become tools for social control. Many governments now spend significant resources and employ large numbers of people to generate content, direct opinion, and engage with both foreign and domestic audiences. They talk about this starting one of the organizations they mention is this thing called the 77th Brigade in the UK. In January 2015, the British Army announced that its 77th Brigade would, quote, focus on non-lethal psychological operations using social networks like Facebook and Twitter to fight enemies by gaining control of the narrative in the information age. The primary task of this unit is to shape public behavior through the use of quote-unquote dynamic narratives to combat the political propaganda disseminated by terrorist organizations. And they always say it's all about terrorism, but we've seen it in our sphere here in the truth community, or even now I think it goes into things like alternative healing and anybody, because they go after people like alternative healing people because that takes money away. If that picks up steam, that takes money away from pharmaceutical companies, the same way the good kinds of cannabis products take away from pharmaceutical companies. Same reason they fight against legalization. I'm going to go through and read you what I highlighted. This is the strategies, tools, and techniques for social media manipulation. It's just nice to have it in print. So we can, like WSO said on his show, people will call you paranoid schizophrenic saying they're agents and bots. Well, here it is, black and white, agents and bots. Here we go. Some cyber troops focus on positive messages. So they have different ways of engaging. A lot of it will just be harassment. But some cyber troops, I thought this was interesting in Israel. Some cyber troops focus on positive messages that reinforce or support the government's position or political ideology. Israel, for example, has a strict policy of engaging in positive interactions with individuals who hold positions that are critical of the government. And that would be great if the U.S. did that. But it doesn't matter if the U.S. does it, because the U.K. will go after us as a foreign enemy, which is what happened with the covering the Hampstead case. That was a U.K. operation, I believe, and they used different techniques from different organizations. For example, Dave Sweigert, it's a harassment campaign, much more of a gang stalking and harassment campaign than an influence campaign, in the case of Hampstead, actually human intelligence, and then information gathering and psychological operations. They talk about how they use a mix of positive, negative, and neutral posts when engaging users on social media. This is best, some people are paid. This is best articulated by a member of the so-called 50 Cent Party, so-called because of a rumor that government-sponsored internet commentators were paid 50 cents every time they posted messages online. The informant noted that a common strategy is to post emotive contents online in order to generate directed citizen rage towards the commentator, thereby diverting criticism away from the government or political issue originally being discussed. Individual targeting. Individual targeting is a cyber troop strategy that involves selecting an individual or group to influence on social media. I skipped the example in Poland, but it says more popular forms of individual targeting involve harassment. Harassment generally involves verbal abuse, hate speech, discrimination, and/or trolling against the values, beliefs, or identity of a user or a group of users online. Individual targeting is different from negative valence posts on social media, as the harassment usually spans a long duration. Individual targeting is a persistent aspect of the internet ecosystem that is used to silence political dissent online. It is also one of the most dangerous forms of cyber troop activity, as individuals often receive real-life threats and suffer reputational damage. Check, right? That is absolutely true. It's been done to me. It's been done to the community around this show. And then the community as a whole of people trying to tell the truth, people trying to make the world a better place. Fake accounts and computational propaganda. In addition to official government accounts, many cyber troop teams run fake accounts to mask their identity and interests. This phenomenon has sometimes been referred to as astroturfing, whereby the identity of a sponsor or organization is made to appear as grassroots activism. In many cases, these fake accounts are bots or bits of code designed to interact with and mimic human users. These bots are often used to flood social media networks with spam and fake news. They can also amplify marginal voices and ideas by inflating the number of likes, shares, and retweets they receive, creating an artificial sense of popularity, momentum, or relevance. But as bots become increasingly political, social media platforms they talked about bots. They talk about definitely using them to build the narrative, to harass, to direct rage at the person speaking, this person. But they talk more about bots. But as bots become increasingly political, social media platforms have become stricter in their takedown policies. As a result, many people have gone back to operating the accounts themselves rather than automating them. For example, in Mexico, when many of the government-sponsored spam bots that were used to target journalists and spread disinformation on social media were blocked, human agents went back to operating the accounts themselves. Increasingly, cyber troops are using a blend of automation and human interaction. These so-called cyborgs are deployed to help avoid detection and make interactions feel more genuine. Quinn talked about this. They call them human AI hybrids too, as a joke, sort of like the ones in Minority Report. But this is what, and Quinn described it to me, and it's right here. So we know there's some validity to it. And this is part of it that I didn't know for sure, is that you'll be interacting with a bot, and then there will be an alert to a human user when you start interacting with it for the human user to jump in and take over. That's why sometimes you'll be talking to a bot and then all of a sudden you're flipped because you're dealing with something that seems too human to be a bot. It's a human bot hybrid. These guys call them cyborgs, which helps them avoid detection. So the thing about these things is, and maybe the reason they left us alone for now, knock on wood, is because we identified them. And once they're identified, they're not helpful. So once everybody knows that it's a bunch of bots or agents, once their cover is blown, they're not useful. They need to seem real and grassroots. So it's good to know that they were being pointed out. Now, the one thing it mentioned is that they were blocked, during the fake news craze, I guess, that maybe they made a concerted effort to actually block spam bots because they were anti-Trump or whatever, or because they were pro-Trump spam bots or pro-whatever political side spam bots. People maybe complained enough that Facebook and Twitter did something about it. I don't know for sure. Boy, am I going to have the hiccups for the whole show? I hope not. So that's what we're trying to do. Shed some light on things. That's all we can do. Actually, my caller yesterday read something from the Bible, Ephesians 5:11. I think it said, "Don't fight the darkness, expose it." Basically, I can't tell you the exact words right now, but that's all you can do is expose the evil, and so that people can see it, and then it doesn't work as well. Where on earth is my cat? Doshi, man, he's really missing out on the show. So let me read some more from this report. Oh, content creation. This is a big one for YouTube. Some cyber troop teams create substantive content to spread political messages. This content creation amounts to more than just a comment or on a blog or social media feed, but instead includes the creation of such content as blog posts, YouTube videos, fake news stories, pictures or memes that help promote the government's political agenda. In the UK, cyber troops have been known to create and upload YouTube videos that, quote, contain persuasive messages, unquote, under online aliases. Some of these psychological operations, or PSYOPs, have been framed as anti-radicalization campaigns designed to deter British Muslims from going to Syria. In Russia, some cyber troops create appealing online personas and run blogs on websites such as LiveJournal. According to Chen's story, one Russian cyber trooper ran a fortune-telling blog that provided insight into, quote, relationships, weight loss, feng shui, and occasionally geopolitics, unquote, with the goal of, quote, weaving propaganda seamlessly into what appeared to be the non-political musings of an everyday person, unquote. Now that's in Russia, but these same techniques are used here quite obviously, and we quite obviously have YouTube channels that are maybe admitting to working for the government, but they don't work just for the government. There are independent groups that all use the same techniques now. They use the same psychological techniques and the same technology. There is no technology available exclusively to governments. This technology is available to all kinds of different actors. It's not a thing. It's not a giant machine. You don't have to buy something specifically that you can't get. It's not like buying an F-15 or something. You're just getting the idea, the software, the general way it works, and then you can use that yourself. Independent organization, banks, big banks, pharma, there are all kinds of different interests that want to shut down different types of activism, is what they call it, to maintain the status quo. They talk about what kind of techniques these different countries use, and they don't have that much specifically on the U.S., but again, it's great to have somebody put down in writing what all of us have been saying for a while. The U.S. uses positive, negative, and neutral reinforcement on their comments. They use automated human and cyborg AI technology for their fake accounts. And they found evidence of content creation. So like the YouTube channels that are somehow involved with the government. I guess that's what Dave Acton is. He's involved in a DHS project of some sort, is what he's saying. This talks about government cyber troops, how politicians use social media and bots. Political parties or candidates often use social media as part of a broader campaign strategy. Here we are interested in political parties or candidates that use social media to manipulate public opinion during a campaign, either by purposefully spreading fake news or disinformation, or by trolling or targeting any support for the opposition party. This is different to traditional digital campaign strategies, which have generally focused on spreading information about the party or candidate's platform or sending advertisements out to voters. Social media is used by political parties to manipulate the public Social media is used by political parties to manipulate the public. It isn't right. The syntax isn't right. Is to use fake accounts to artificially inflate the number of followers, likes, shares, or retweets a candidate receives, creating a false sense of popularity. Sometimes, when political parties or candidates use social media manipulation as part of their campaign strategy, these tactics are continued when they assume power. They give an example of Duterte in the Philippines, but Donald Trump is the big example. Donald Trump is running a massive, massive PSYOP involving very advanced AI, which we know about from Cambridge Analytica, which is an analysis company, big data company, and targeting company that helped Trump win the election, and I argue is involved in PSYOPs. A lot of this stuff is psychological operations, manipulation. For example, so for private contractors, that says that the United States government hired a public relations firm to develop a persona management tool to develop and manage fake profiles on social media. They use persona bots. They have attitudes. They have a particular personality. Now they use volunteers also. Some cyber troops are volunteer groups that actively work to spread political messages on social media. They're not just people who believe in the message and share their ideals on social media. Instead, volunteers are individuals who actively collaborate with government partners to spread political ideology or pro-government messages. And then there are paid citizens. Some cyber troops are citizens who are actively recruited by the government and are paid or remunerated in some way for their work. They are not official government employees working in public service, nor are they employees of a company contracted to work on social media strategy. They are also not volunteers because they are paid for their time and efforts in supporting a cyber troop campaign. Normally, these paid citizens are recruited because they hold a prominent position in society or online. In India, for example, citizens are actively recruited by cyber troop teams in order to help propagate political ideologies and messages. Since these citizens are not officially affiliated with the government or a political party, their quote-unquote independent voice can be used to help disseminate messages from a seemingly neutral perspective. And the U.S., what do they list here? All the organizational forms in the U.S. that does this, which is DARPA, U.S. Cyber Command, U.S. Agency for International, USAID, Air Force, Pentagon, and the Democrat and Republican Party. And they found evidence of, civil society. Yeah, well, we definitely have civil society involved. Found evidence of citizens. Let's see, what else? And talks about exactly the private corporations. I mean, the U.S. actually, with 5 different forms, every single box clicked, has this stuff going on, these types of operations. It's the only one that clicks all 5 boxes, actually. Then they talk about budget, and then they do show the organizational density of cyber troops. And more red is more dense. So you see the USA has the highest density of cyber troops. And I argue they're using them primarily on their own citizens. People like me, YouTube channels, trying to change the world. So that was a pretty cool document. Troops, Trolls, and Troublemakers. Reported on YouTube by WSO. I'm going to talk even more about this crap because, well, I mean, I have so many things to talk about, but I'll talk more about this crap because there's more to it. I was interested in the kind of things they do to counter violent extremism. That's kind of the thing that they're doing with these trolls, supposedly. By trying to destroy my life and take me off the internet. That is towards their goal of countering violent extremism. And it falls, this was a program announced last year that I got mad about, the CVE grants program. And it's a program to support community-led initiatives across the country to build resilience to the threat of violent extremism. And it provides local communities with the resources to counter violent extremism in the homeland. Now, what they do is, this is a totally Minority Report style version of crime control. So here are the 5 bullet points they have. One of them is developing resilience, which I'll skip. Countering the narrative. Countering the narrative is part of this program, a community-based program. Trusted individuals and institutions, both in person and online, can not only counter extremist narratives, but create competing narratives as well. They train key community members for how to engage with at-risk individuals. Then they have managing intervention activities. This area focuses on the creation of off-ramps that can address the specific needs of at-risk individuals. These off-ramps will provide rehabilitative care to individuals who are moving towards committing illegal activity, which can take the form of social services, mental health care, or faith-based programs. That's the worst one to me, the managing intervention activities. That's where they want to take me and, put me in a mental ward and rehabilitate me because I'm leading down the road towards violent extremism, and that there needs to be a counter narrative against the things we're talking about, not because it's a crime, but to stop us from committing crimes down the road, from becoming violent extremists, fringe members. There's a resource page on it. The Brennan Center for Justice wrote something about it. They were kind of, here, they say these programs are not new. CVE programs, I'm just dropping CVE programs in because there are a lot of these counter-terrorist programs or government programs that are theoretically against bad people to stop them from, to give them an off-ramp, to stop them from doing bad things, you know. These programs are not new. CVE programs have existed for some time, often with dubious results. And while purportedly aimed at rooting out all violent extremism, they have previously focused only on Muslims, stigmatizing them as a suspect community. These programs have further promoted flawed theories of terrorist radicalization, which lead to unnecessary fear, discrimination, and unjustified reporting to law enforcement. The ACLU wrote about it. Several questionable government studies on this subject, including a New York Police Department report, have promoted a theory of radicalization in which would-be terrorists follow a four-stage path from unremarkable and ordinary people into murderous terrorists. Proponents of this theory posit that the different stages of radicalization function as a funnel in which individuals entering the first phase by simply adopting particular beliefs form the pool from which terrorists will eventually emerge at the other end of the process. And while the NYPD report acknowledges that not all people who enter the pool ultimately become terrorists, it warns that once in the funnel, all will continue to pose a threat as potential agents of influence over future terrorists, regardless of whether they become terrorists themselves. And the ACLU points out that that's bullshit. And I've pointed out before all the different ways that they target so-called lone wolf terrorists or potential lone wolf terrorists are all bullshit. You know, they're not predictive in any way. Let's see, I even had more on this. Oh, weird thing is, so the latest news in the Department of Homeland Security website went down. Oh, there we go. They just gave out $10 million in grants for the CVE program. So it's all kind of relating to the same trolling and harassment. And I think these CVE programs most likely get involved with the same thing because they're told this is how you fight it. This is how you fight it. Counter the narrative. So they gave out $10 million. I was thinking about applying myself as an organization to counter violent extremism. A lot of police foundations, a lot of different police departments. City of Houston Office of Public Safety and Homeland Security got $500,000. You know, there are a number of different places. Look at these, managing interventions. City of Los Angeles Mayor's Office got $425,000. Alameda County Sheriff's Office, that's where Oakland is, got $500,000. Las Vegas got $500,000. Yeah. Challenging the narrative. Look at this. Challenging the narrative. America Abroad Media, $647,000. Masjid Muhammad Inc. I'd like to know who that is. I don't know who that is. And the Rochester Institute of Technology, challenging the narrative. And then a few other grants. One big one to the University of San Diego. It's just money going down the toilet. You know, it's such a joke what our government is, because they're spending money on this stuff that's been proven to be ineffective over and over and over again. So, okay. Okay, that's it on that one. How's everybody doing? Everybody's good in the chat? Good. Oh, there's more. Okay. So we're moving on from that. We went over government trolls and everything. So we're going to move on from that. I think we did it completely. This is related to the YouTube cleanse that's been going on that I guess I thought I didn't really I didn't realize how many channels had been shut down. I heard Russian Vids got shut down. I don't know if you guys heard that. Russian Vids is a big channel that's been around forever. People think he's a shill. And I saw Johnny Supertramp made a video promoting his channel having been shut down, you know, for people to subscribe. And everybody under there is like, oh, Russian Vids is a shill. Russian Vids is a shill. Well, anyway, that's a big channel that apparently got shut down. Johnny Supertramp's on his 4th channel. I'm on my 3rd. And then you heard, maybe if you had listened yesterday, Liam Xmail called in. He's been around for a bit. His channel was getting shut down. So, and then mine, right at the same time. It was weird. They all kind of went down at the same time, I guess. No, I think mine main channel went down earlier than everybody else's. I'm not sure. But whatever it was, people who were talking about channels getting shut down didn't even know mine was. But mine, I tied directly to the David Seaman CrowdStrike, which I tie David Seaman. I tie David Seaman to DeFango and George Webb, Dave Sweigert. I want to find out about how those people are connected because I believe it was a coordinated effort through that particular campaign against my channel. But it happened coincidentally at the same time these other channels are getting shut down. So that's what we're talking about. That's what we're talking about. Okay. And then, man, the thing in Minneapolis. Okay. That's weird. So I was looking at this because I was looking at the Minneapolis thing. It seems like it's a mess. First of all, it's weird that she took her husband's name and she's known by that name since last year. And now they finally publish her real name and I found her LinkedIn account. It's a weird case. Maybe check out what Johnny Supertramp did on it. Her parents don't seem to have Australian accents. The police aren't saying anything. It's going to be this whole thing about body cameras and Johnny said it's like a campaign it's not involving the cops. It's actually something where it's an agenda for them to use their body cameras because that's what the government actually wants them to be more accountable. That's Johnny's proposal. It's pretty interesting. But then also the agenda of white against black, white against immigrant, killing this. It's the whole thing of her being a spiritual healer and everything, is just to pull on the heartstrings. I'm going to show you how they're doing the heartstring pulling more on this stupid case. Here she's rescuing ducks.
Go with the mum
yeah, that's her.
Straight to the lake. Is this your house?
Yeah.
Does she have a nest here?
She's like underground.
I don't know why she's here.
It's weird why is somebody filming her? It's weird why this video is, why are they filming her? Wouldn't you film the ducks?
Come on.
Damond texted a friend. Guess what? They started jumping in my lap. Oh, there are the baby ducks.
Like she doesn't
Baby
seem
ducks
to
are
wanna
cute.
Be like beelining it back to the...
One, two, three. Oh my god, I can't count. Should be 8, right?
How did you go? Were there any?
Weird.
No,
It's cute, huh?
How
They
did
saved the
you
little
even know?
ducklings. It's just, man, it's terrible that she's gone. But there are a lot of questions around it. The people hadn't heard of the story. Really, it wasn't big news, but I think it's developing. That's why I got into it. And it's pretty fake. It seems pretty fake to me. So, and it's just another thing to F with our heads. They pull at the heartstrings in order to create, they want to create a grassroots movement for body cams, for the cops to be using body cams. That's what they want. So, I know why the background's going out. Oh, because it's exactly the same color as a blue screen. Okay, I had it blue screened once when I was messing around with David Seaman does things on blue screen. So I was just messing around with the background behind him. So that's why the blue is black. Okay. You guys don't know what I'm talking about. Okay. And then I watched DeFango's show today. Okay. So I want to talk to DeFango. I'm being nice to people. DeFango was being nice on his show today. I want to figure out what's going on. I don't want to judge the motives of people, but I want to know, because it's a lot of baloney in my life and Quinn's life that we didn't want to deal with, and we want to talk to you guys about that. And we being me, at least, and Doshi. Where the hell is he? So that's something I want to do in pursuit of the general goal of figuring things out. I have DJ Genki, who is, somebody who's a mod in DeFango's chat, seems to be friends with DeFango, is talking about me and DeFango and what's going on and trying to be nicer and so on and so forth. As of right now, the collective, the people who've been fighting and everything else, everybody just wants to be friends. It seems like DeFango wants to be friends. I want to be friends, but I still am not going to let go of, what happened. And now I just want to know the reasons. It's not satanic pedophiles. It's not covering up for pedophiles. It's not being satanic. I've gotten a lot of pushback on that. But what is it? And why does it seem to involve, Melissa the Honeybee, Zachariah, Dave Acton, Sweigert, George Webb? Why does it Monograph? David Seaman? Why does it seem to involve David Seaman? Why does that network seem to involve him? Why did it seem like a coordinated effort with you to take down my channel, since you had David Seaman on your show and then the next day he ordered the CrowdStrike that took down my channel? It seemed very coordinated. So I'm very interested in knowing what the motivations were behind that. So that's one thing we're going to try to figure out going forward. I'd like to learn more about the SVV too, and Ohm Wallet. And that's on that show Monday. I might, we'll get to ask DJ Genki about the SVV and what he knows about it. He has some loose connection, which he can describe to you. Seems to think he knows about their operations. And I'm interested in talking about that with DeFango as well. And then we can start to piece things together. We're in this ARG together. So you don't know my motives and I don't know yours, I guess. So we want to figure that out. And Dave Sweigert, why don't you call in then, Dave Acton? Why don't you call in and let's talk about it? Because this stuff is so silly. Why don't we call in and talk about it? Because I don't understand what you're saying. You're very confusing. So let's do that. Let's have you call whenever is convenient for you during my show. I'm going to open up the phones in a minute here. I'm going to talk about one more thing though. But yeah, don't be a telephone tough guy. I mean, in the sense of don't be a Twitter tough guy. Call me and tell me what the hell's going on, because I'm not watching your videos. Okay. So that's that. Lastly, I believe, is cryptocurrency. So I've been talking about it, and I'm excited about it, perhaps unreasonably, and perhaps perhaps I'm buying the wrong thing myself. I just bought LiteCoin because it's cheaper and has more potential for, gains and stuff. And it's an MIT project. It's open source, and Bitcoin is already real expensive, but, and all of them might go down. A lot of people say it's not a worthwhile investment. And for those people, I would say, if you're feeling that way, get something else. I mean, so this is the thing about it, there is a potential, it seems like, because of all the money that currently is not invested in this cryptocurrency. Once the cryptocurrency gets to a certain point, then all this money from everybody who was late to the party is going to suddenly show up, and then you could see the thing skyrocket. I mean, people are saying Bitcoin 500K. A few people now are saying Bitcoin 500K. It's like 2,300 now. So that has the potential of just making a small investment really pay off. But you could lose it too. So you shouldn't invest too much or anything you can't lose, certainly. But the reason I kind of turned a corner on it was because of reading these documents from Project Mayhem mainly, but also from the DOC and the SVV in relation to Ohm Wallet and Ohm Coin. You know, all of these particularly Project Mayhem. Project Mayhem is basically a secret society of people who kind of can control the internet because it's hackers, it's anonymous. They are behind and are dependent on the success. In some ways, they're dependent on the success of cryptocurrency and in particular Bitcoin for their operation to succeed. And because of that, because I found out that there is that kind of support behind it, I believe that they're going to do whatever it takes for Bitcoin to take off, that they'll, that they might even manipulate the market in the same way that the Fed does or the government does here. Generally, the Fed and central banks, they've been manipulating the stock market forever. And so the stock market just keeps going up. There's no reason to believe that these guys involved in Project Mayhem wouldn't use the same tactics to support Bitcoin if they have the resources to do so. So that's one reason I'm a little bullish on it. And then the other reason is just for the potential for gains and the idea of it. The idea of it is a good idea from Project Mayhem. The idea of cryptocurrency being able to extract wealth from the system and move it into the hands of the people who've gone in early, who've gone out of the system and invested in some alternative. For those people, it becomes a brand new. They become powerful then, and so it's an opportunity, if that's true, for me to say to you, for me to offer to you guys the same type of thing. But I don't know if it's going to pay off. People are saying I'm crazy, so I'll tell you that. Nobody's saying it's a brilliant idea to invest. People I've asked who are smart are saying, either that it's better to get Bitcoin than LiteCoin, or that it's like gambling, a cryptocurrency, etc. So I'll tell you that. But sometimes people see things differently, and then things change. There are a few people, kind of different thinkers in the investment community, who've said that it's going to go up to $500,000 a coin. And that would be amazing. And I kind of see what they're seeing now. And I'll explain it to you. A lot of people are saying, hey, you've already missed the bull market. That if you didn't invest early, that it's over now, that if you're buying it too high. The only thing is I'm just thinking about the market cap for Bitcoin and how much money is actually in it so far and how many people are currently invested in it so far as opposed to the broader population. And it's like nobody, you hear about Bitcoin on channels like this or David Siemens or in the alternative press, but I can bet you haven't bought anything yet. I hadn't bought anything. I've been hearing about it forever. I said, after I quit my job at Maserati, I was telling people when I was kind of crazy, I was like, if I had to invest my money right now, it'd be 1/3 cash, 1/3 gold or silver, and 1/3 Bitcoin. So I'd be, if I had had any money then and done what I said, I'd be rich. So I was on it kind of then too. I don't know if I'll be on it this time, but if it succeeds, it is an opportunity to have some security in a world where dollars in particular may become, almost worthless. Inflation is going to happen to where dollars become much, much less valuable than they are now. So just hedge against it if you have anything to hedge, or like I said, do whatever you want, do your own research. But the math points to massive inflation of fiat currency, and the only way to preserve your wealth in that case is to find something that is going to stay, that will stay at around the current value, that's going to be stable, at least in terms of what it can actually buy you, where the dollar appears that it's going to become less valuable rather than more valuable. So gold and silver are the traditional means of doing that, and you can still see a great return off that. We just haven't seen it yet. And because the market's very mature, in other words, there are a lot of different people and investment banks and central banks, there are governments invested in gold and silver already. Bitcoin, I've heard that governments and some entities are the largest holders, but there is much going on right now. People are still in a wait and see situation on it, and that's why it's a bigger risk now, because it could be that wait and see doesn't turn out so well. Bitcoin did just turn a corner, though. The thing that people were worried about, this technical switch, it seems to have happened. It seems to be happening smoothly. That's why I was talking about it now, because that switch, when everything is supposed to be settled, is August 1st. There's a few things happening August 1st. So we're getting in the second half of July if things happen, But I don't know much. All I would say is if you're thinking about it, this is the way to think about it. You're going to invest some money that you can lose, and you're not planning to sell it. You're not going to plan to convert it back to dollars. You're going to plan to keep it, hold it, put it in there, forget about it if you want. And it could be $20 or $50 or whatever, something that, you're willing to gamble with based on the possibility of big returns, and then forget about it. And don't use it until you can use it to buy something. That's the idea. The idea is that these are alternative currencies. It's not for trading like stocks. It's not for realizing a gain necessarily in dollars. It's simply a way of preserving the value you have by converting your dollars into something that's going to maybe appreciate in value rather than go down. But that's the idea. It's not to make money. It's not to watch it go up and down every day, although that's fun. It would be to use it as an alternative currency. And the thing that will bring all this money pouring in is a stable price, if it stays up in price. And then the great thing about it, the thing about it is, with Bitcoin worth so much now, there are a lot of people desperate to spend it. Not desperate, but they've got money eating a hole in their pocket. They've got all this money in Bitcoin. Maybe they don't want to turn it back into dollars, but they might want to buy something with it or donate, for example. And so it would make sense for retailers to be thinking, oh, maybe I should start taking Bitcoin. And once that sort of stuff begins to happen with a higher price that people can see, and a higher and somewhat stable price, and retailers beginning to accept it as currency, then that's kind of like a singular, like I think then it's an unstoppable force in my head. Okay. And I'm not always right about stuff. Timing, market, all that stuff. I don't know. I've been saying silver was going to go up forever, silver and gold, and the silver and gold markets haven't done anything. They go down, they go up a little, but so take it as you will. But I'm just seeing the mechanics behind it, and it could blow up. So LiteCoin is cheap. It's under $100. It has the most potential for exponential returns, but you could get exponential returns in any of the cryptocurrencies. Bitcoin is much more mature and probably a safer bet from what I can understand. And you don't have to buy a whole Bitcoin. You can just buy $50 in Bitcoin if you want. And from what I understand, it's a safer investment than a startup like LiteCoin. So, which is based which is underpinned basically with Bitcoin technology. On the other hand, Bitcoin is a big target for governments. So, well, for big banks, governments, whatever, Bitcoin is the one that people know about. So there is a chance, this is what I was told today, is that if Bitcoin, the only thing good about LiteCoin is if Bitcoin gets hit with negative news or has some kind of a setback. That would be the only benefit to it. So I'll say Bitcoin would be the coin to have a setback, since there's a lot of opposition to it. Obviously, if it takes money away from the government, if it makes it untaxable, unregulatable, that's a problem. So I was hesitant to endorse stuff like it for a while, like crypto for a while, because I was worried about what governments could do that they haven't done yet. So, but I'm a little more, now that I saw after there was the thing with the NASDAQ where the Bitcoin thing didn't work out and NASDAQ took a hit for a while. After it recovered from that, I've read some more analysis of it where people do think it's viable and it's going to keep taking off. That's when, and then getting into Project Mayhem, that's when I kind of turned the corner on it. So, but it hasn't done anything for me yet. I mean, I bought my first crypto, maybe a week ago or something. So I'm just excited because I see the potential in it now. And I see the potential for my listeners to take a risk that might pay off if you can afford it. But it doesn't have to be much. That's the beauty of it. It shouldn't be much. It could be $20, buy whatever, you can buy any portion of the coin. And now it's easier to do. That's the other thing. It's been really, really hard to buy this stuff. It took a lot of technical expertise. And now you have this website Coinbase, which as long as it remains reliable, and hopefully it will, and I'm going to look into it. You just make an account. It's really easy. You can buy coins with your credit card, and then you can sell them and have the money go straight to your PayPal account. So it's easy. It's the thing. For me, I wasn't willing to look into the more difficult ways of purchasing and storing this stuff. It's really easy. And LiteCoin was just recently listed on there. Getting listed on there makes it open to a much larger market. So, I think there might come a time as these cryptocurrencies start to take off where you'll see initial coin offerings of all kinds of different coins. And it might be like the .com era in terms of just people piling on to every single new coin offering. This is kind of how I picture things if they go one direction, is that you'll have, a little bit of a craziness, a frenzy for a little while. And that could crash at some point and maybe it won't pay off. But either way, doesn't matter. Don't even think of it that way. Don't even think of it in terms of dollars. Just think about it as something in the future you can spend to buy stuff. And that at that time, hopefully it'll be worth a lot more than your dollars were when you bought it. Does that make sense? I invited Jaron on the show because he's covered cryptocurrency, a while back. So I'm late to the party. Well, no, I didn't think it was a good idea for a little bit. But I do think it is. I'm excited about it, possibly. Yeah, I'm excited to see where it goes. But at your own risk, only money you can afford to lose. Look at it that way. You're going to forget about it. Okay? So that's it, man. Okay, so now I talked and now I can take calls. I think I covered the stuff I needed to cover. Let me see if I can figure out how to open my phone. There we go. Yesterday was good calls. Thanks everybody for tuning in. I haven't even seen who's tuned in. I haven't even been paying attention. Let's see. Okay. Well, that's cool. It's a smaller audience than usual. I guess yesterday maybe it was because of the hoax I covered. It's hard having a new channel. That's why I have to be friends with everybody. Even though I think positive and have faith, bad things happen. But it's not bad. Now people think I'm not a shill, maybe. Or maybe people will rethink it. Maybe. I don't know. It is frustrating that I can't get anybody to talk to me. I mean, it feels like sometimes. Not you guys, but I mean other channels and stuff. Like Jesse Spots I'm trying to reach. Hey, Shoni, what's up?
Hi, Nathan. How you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
I'm great today. I just wanted to call and say hi, and I'm so glad to see you. And it's a great show today.
Oh, thanks. That's all you had for me? Yeah. That's great. Shoni's going to write for my website, I think, at one point. Hold on. Let me stop this call. Well, actually, I'll take it since you said you're done, huh?
Okay, yeah.
Is that all you had for me, Shoni?
Well, I have lots, but...
Okay, hold on. Let me not take this then. Okay, great. I'm glad you have lots.
No.
Okay, great.
I'm really super interested in the investing in the LiteCoin, and I'm glad that you're talking about it, and I'm glad that you're available to, discuss that, because I'm really stupid when it comes to that, because I'm always saying that I like to invest in things that I can touch and hold and live, and so it's good to know somebody real is actually doing it and they're sharing their experiences.
Yeah, right. And, I'm probably more excited about it than you guys should be. But yeah, it's an interesting thing. And if you like physical stuff, get that first. If you don't have any silver or gold or anything, then maybe I would say get that first. Well, it depends. This is like a gamble. And it does have a little bit to do with timing. So just a little bit, could turn into a lot. And so I wanted to make sure people are aware of that. Yeah, I don't know about LiteCoin either. What have you found from looking into this stuff? Like
very little. I've been busy with other things. I've got like 3 or 4 things going right now that I'm researching, but yeah, that's definitely on my radar, and I'm okay with a gamble. I mean, a small one, and I've already done the silver. I've done metals, so I've stocked up there. I think that, like I usually say, if you come to an HTF situation, I think that it's good to invest in bartering tools and things like that, alcohol and food and such.
That's good. Alcohol, actually, that's a good one. I hadn't thought of that. That is a good one.
Yeah.
Bullets.
Well, I made a lot of wine, and so I've got tons of wine.
That's great.
I made moonshine. I don't drink it, but I have it.
That's great.
So
that's smart. Yeah, you're really. I'm not much of a prepper. I think some of these financial things. I think it's an easy way to kind of hedge against an uncertain future. But yeah, that's smart. Yeah, you're smart. You got the good stuff. Yeah, alcohol and bullets. Probably
with lots of bullets. Yeah, I got lots of bullets. I'm pretty set up here. Wow. I have to be, because I'm out in the middle of nowhere. So yeah.
Right.
So anyway, yeah, but I am pretty interested. Thanks to you and the LiteCoin. And I know that somebody was saying, you're kind of promoting it. I don't think that you're necessarily promoting it. I think that you're more sharing your own experience, and that's awesome.
Well, yeah, and I'll explain. I'll explain that. I'm glad you brought it up, so I can explain. It does benefit me if you guys buy it, because the price goes up when more people buy it. But I don't have enough people that it would make the price go up. But yeah, I'll explain my connection.
Yeah, good deal. Okay, well, thanks, Nathan. I appreciate it. I'm not going to tie up the phone, because I know people want to call in and talk to you, because you're just that kind of guy people want to talk to. So.
Oh, that's nice to say, Shoni. All right. Well, I'll talk to you on Discord.
Okay. Take care.
Cheers. Okay. I missed a few calls. Yeah. Well, here's the thing. The way I'm making myself more credible on it is I'm not telling you to subscribe. I'm not like most people do when they tell you to go to Coinbase and make an account, which I've been, people recommended I do this. David Seaman does it, but other really legitimate people do it. Is make you follow my link, and then whatever you buy, I get something. I'm not doing that. I'm saying go ahead and get it, and then if you do well or you want to give me some of that, there's a way to do that. This is Nathan.
Hey, Nathan, it's Jeff from LA. Thanks for taking my call, man.
No problem, Jeff. What's up?
Not too much, man. It's my first time calling your show. We chatted a while back. Just wanted to comment on a couple things that you touched on over the show.
Okay, sure.
Cool, man. The first thing back at the beginning when you were talking about the power of positive thinking kind of and how it's a co-creative reality we're in, and you know that you have some people listening who are almost rolling their eyes when we start or you start to talk in that kind of jargon.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of wanted to just remind everyone or maybe look into the placebo effect, which is something that medicine obviously and science acknowledges they have to. And depending on the studies you look at, 35 to 60% of the time, a placebo effect is just basically the power of belief heals someone.
Yep.
So that's like a real thing. There are some, like Psychology Today even has articles on it. They're real. Harvard has done tons of studies. It's a real thing, and it's kind of a wrench in the machine of someone who doesn't want to acknowledge the power that our belief and our what we think is going to happen kind of occurs. So I just wanted to mention that, as well as it's a less talked about part is the opposite of that, called the nocebo effect.
Yeah.
Which is also a very well studied thing, where if you believe you're doing something that's bad for you, or in taking something that's bad for you, or something bad's going to happen, the same exact percentage of the time as placebo effect, that also tends to occur. So, I mean, people might not believe in the gravity of the way they think and their mindset and what they believe is going to happen. So kind of wanted to throw that out there as one of the things.
Yeah, Bruce Lipton, I might have played the bit from the Bruce Lipton thing where he talked about the nocebo effect, and I hadn't heard of that before. But yeah, basically just the opposite. Negative thinking makes you sick. In the same way, positive thinking can make you well.
Exactly. And it doesn't just apply physically. Like, I believe if you studied someone who believed I'm on the brink of a new opportunity and something good happening in my life, and versus someone who thinks every day, I got no shot. Right now, nothing's going for me. I got no chance of anything. You know, you follow them around for a year or two, the person who's thinking positively, you know, they are going to have better things happen. So it's even been studied scientifically, quote unquote, scientifically, maybe, whatever you want to call it. But I wanted to throw that out there.
Yeah, that's a great point. Both of those.
Cool. Thanks, man. Let me touch quickly on two other things. One is George Webb's situation. I don't know if you remember, but I even tipped you in on it very early when I started following him right in the Eric Braverman time. And I just want to remind people of a couple things that might have gone under the radar a little bit. But now that these are still characters in our lives, I mean, unfortunately, in my opinion, but they are, I just want to remind people that when his first 50 videos went down, he made a video claiming that, well, I must be right over the target because my first 50 videos are down, and it's not going to stop me. I'm going to get to the bottom of this. And as we know, you know, he did admit that he took down those videos. You know that, right?
Yeah, right. I didn't know he claimed ever that somebody else did, but yeah, I know
that's the direct quote from the first day. I watched the video from the first day when they were taken down. He said, well, he opened the video with, well, I must be right over the target because all my first videos went down, but it's not going to stop me. So he went with that narrative, and he's gotten caught. My point is, they've tested many narratives, and they kind of go with what works, and you can almost see them having like meetings every day in real time. Like, is this going to stick? Is this not going to stick?
Right.
And one other one I wanted to mention, because this, you know, it shows a little more nefarious or malicious side of it to me, is that George Webb in those first 50 videos was strongly claiming in multiple videos that the code words that were in the WikiLeaks John Podesta emails, hot dogs, pizza, cheese, those were actually terms for arms deals. And he was saying he hypothesized that hot dog meant Stinger missile and that cheese pizza might, and then he said, well, maybe that means hypothetically an arms deal. And pasta could mean a missile deal with Iran. Like, he was trying to spin this narrative that those code words being used were for these oil and arms trafficking deals, the way more innocent side of the whole thing.
Weird.
And, you know, and as we know now, I mean, it's acknowledged cheese pizza has been a term for child pornography for 30 years, since the whole internet was there. I mean, that's just a known fact.
Yeah.
So he was trying to spin away from that And then he deleted those videos claiming someone else did. And I just feel like they realized they were going to retroactively get seen of trying to, debunk the whole pizza code thing. Just something I'm throwing out there. What do you think of that?
Well, I wonder if the pizza code is real. I wonder about the emails all the time because I don't know where those other code words came from, walnuts and the map and stuff. I'm not sure where that exactly came from. The only thing I was sure of was like Besta Pizza definitely had the same kind of logo as the symbol they showed in the FBI document, and so that was, you could connect, but the emails I'm real sketchy on. I don't know. There was one email where that was really bad, where it was like $65,000 to fly hot dogs and pizza to the White House on a helicopter or something. That was
and
really
you're not
weird.
allowed to fly food into the White House because of the standards for poisoning the president, so that's not allowed.
Yeah, that was really fascinating to me. But the Podesta stuff, I don't know. That wasn't in the Podesta emails. That was a different thing.
I agree, but Webb was referencing them.
Yeah.
And like I said, he was claiming hot dog meant Stinger missiles.
Right.
So what? That means that Obama spent $65,000 to send Stinger missiles to the White House from Chicago.
Yeah, it makes no sense.
It was a ludicrous narrative. I feel like they came up with. And then they had to, they, whatever it is, had to back out of it.
Yeah.
But one last thing on what you said. I agree. I believe there's a lot of disinformation in there. I even told you once when we talked, I believe WikiLeaks and Edward Snowden are fully controlled by who we think are the bad guys. They are telling what they're allowed to tell in order so they can control a narrative. But I don't want to go too far off on that. I'll just tell you, if you do research on the dark net or the dark web, the term cheese pizza, that has been used for child pornography. It had black and white for decades. It really has.
Yeah.
So
No, I know that.
I'm not saying John Podesta emails, they could have planted that in there when they weren't doing anything. I don't want to call out names, but that terminology, it's just known. Like there's a book called The Dark Net that touches on it's for people who don't know about the dark net, and I've read it. And there's even a line in the book that says, we're not just talking about child pornographers and their cheese pizzas.
Right.
Like, it's just like a comment, like as if everyone knows who knows anything about Darknet or the Silk Road back in the day where they did all these transactions. But anyway, I don't want to take up too much time on that.
Well, no, I appreciate the call. Yeah, that's right. Cheese pizza in particular, CP is still, they use that all, for child pornography, and everybody knows it. The other stuff, I'm curious. And there were certain emails that I felt were picked up by controlled opposition, where like the one with the kids coming to the pool, which I really thought
for their entertainment. That was so fishy.
Yeah,
but almost
I don't
like
know.
it's planted.
Yeah, and I don't know though for sure that it couldn't be read in an innocent way myself. Because kids I could just imagine saying the kids will come over for your I don't know, because they pitched it as a hot tub.
I got to tell you, my radar says that's either malicious or it was planted there to outrage people and look malicious. I didn't see it as innocent. Just my opinion. I mean, we don't have to agree on everything. Obviously.
Well, I don't know which way it was, but I saw a way of reading it where it wasn't. That's all I meant, is that I could see how it could be completely innocent. The same way how I could see how the weird handkerchief map thing, if that really isn't a known code and stuff, how that could still be innocent, just really weird. But if there weren't a code to it, if we weren't told there was a code to map and stuff, and handkerchief or whatever, then it would seem just like an odd conversation. And the thing for me was I was going through daily all the Podesta emails, and nothing popped out as weird to me when I read through them. And so that's when I heard there was a weird secret code and stuff. I said, what? And I looked back through them, and it wasn't convincing to me at the time.
Yeah. I remember I was following you back then, as I am still now, and I remember at first you didn't believe in it, whatever it is. But let's just look at what we're saying right now. It's almost like it worked. Me and you are now discussing whether or not this code is a real thing, when in fact child trafficking with elite people, pedophilia, it all is really happening. But is it necessarily happening down the rabbit holes we're talking about? I don't know. I mean, but if you look at the artwork, forget the codes. The artists that they enjoy and claim as artwork, I don't even want to comment on it, but it's like, these are some sick people, I believe, but
yeah.
just my opinion.
No, I agree. It looks like a gang of perverts and that they're into kids, and it totally, everything on the surface goes that way. It's just that we don't have anything solid, and we do have solid things on some other cases, which do deserve further looking into, and maybe there are angles of Pizzagate also that should be looked into, or whatever the circumstances around it.
And this is almost the magician's left hand shaking and getting your attention, so you don't look at his right hand doing the trick type of operation. I almost felt like WikiLeaks was that from the whole time almost, but I can't confirm.
Yeah. Well, it's amazing. I've gone the whole spectrum, because if you were with me when I had Jay on the show, I was just covering the election like it was the election. I was covering WikiLeaks. I was really into the WikiLeaks and how they were exposing corruption on the Democratic Party and everything. And now I look back at it and think, wow, nothing happened. And
exactly, it was controlled in a way where X amount of information is given out to appease the truth movement, quote unquote, or the seekers who want to know the story. But the rest of the amount is just disinformation, misinformation, and who knows what else. And it's kind of sad to see, it probably did derail since October. A lot of energy has gone into these specific little rabbit holes that derailed, a diverse groups of people around the world looking into this. And I hope we all learn from it, I guess, is what I'd say, I guess.
Yeah, and it's tough. It's a tough lesson, because the lesson is, well, shoot, now what do I believe? Now I can't believe anything is kind of what a lot of people came to, and it turns people off from looking into stuff anymore, and that's part of the intention. But yes, Seth Rich, and,
you're right.
All this stuff. That's why I want to keep talking about Seth Rich and George Webb and stuff a little bit, because they're still perpetuating similar kinds of deceptions on people. And we want to make sure that our energy is going in the right direction.
Yeah. Nothing wrong with keeping them on the radar, but definitely, keep on keeping on onto, up and coming more important things, I would say.
Yeah. Okay,
sure.
Cool. Well, thanks for
and
the
just,
advice.
can I say one last thing? I took a longer call than I thought, if you don't mind.
It's been great. Go ahead.
Okay, thanks. As far as cryptocurrency and Bitcoin, I'm very similar to you. I haven't invested. I was very hesitant. As well, I have an ethical thing with it because it's kind of, I don't want to burst your bubble, but if you look into it, the only currency that's used for child pornography, child trafficking, and these illegal things is Bitcoin.
Right.
And
Well,
even,
I know
the biggest bust that just happened, they said in the Philippines, that the quote in the headline was child porn king busted in Philippines. He had multi-millions in Bitcoin. So unfortunately, it's almost, it's enabling and helping out some of the most nefarious people, because it's their currency of choice. As well as, I believe, the whole cashless society goal that the banks have, this is it, I believe. Like, if you look, Goldman Sachs, the large banks are heavily now investing into many of these cryptocurrencies, and I think this is like their dream, basically. So I already hold gold and silver. I've told my parents to buy some as well. They won't do it. I've also advised them to maybe get some cryptocurrency as an investment now, as I'm considering. But I'm just very reluctant because of those variables I'm mentioning to you. But it's like, it's tough to stay out of it if it's just a real option, for getting out of U.S. dollars, which is something I think is great advice you're giving to your audience.
Yeah, right. I mean, it's something like with your gold and silver, you can't spend it on Amazon, and maybe eventually you will be able to spend your crypto there. I mean, almost inevitably, I think if the prices keep going up, then inevitably you're going to be able to spend that money on popular platforms. Japan
has just rolled out, I think they said 300,000 different retailers in Japan are accepting Bitcoin.
Oh, wow.
And I know the site that I purchased gold and silver from before online is a reputable site. They accept Bitcoin as well, so you can actually buy gold with it as well. So
yeah,
it's it's an inevitable thing, because I believe the banks are behind it. I believe they're even if the governments don't want it, the Federal Reserve, Rothschild, whatever you want to call the Bank of International Settlements, whatever banks you want to blame, I think they're getting behind it, and it's kind of they're going to want to do this and make us go crypto digital. I mean, we've been talking about it for decades, right? The digital currency, one world currency.
Right. Yeah, if it suits them. And somebody was telling me, somebody really smart was telling me they could go unilaterally, multilaterally with the U.S., Russia, and China to a universal cryptocurrency that's gold backed,
yes, and there it is, and there you have it, the one world digital currency.
Yeah,
like there it is.
Yep,
that would be it.
Yeah. Well, thanks.
But we'll see what happens, man. Thank you so much for taking the call. You're still doing great work. Love you, bro.
Thanks, Jeff. Thanks for the call, man. I appreciate it.
All right, take care, man.
All right, see ya. Yeah, well, that's one of the reasons I didn't go Bitcoin, but actually, mostly just because LiteCoin's cheaper. Might be totally the wrong reason, and because Lite is in the name. From what I hear about Ethereum, I don't know. Somebody was telling me it's kind of evil. I don't know. Ether's good too. That's a good word. But Litecoin, has light in it. I don't know. Listen, I don't know. Bitcoin's probably safer. And doing nothing is probably the safest. But you've heard the pitch for it. So, but as far as me getting a gain out of it, I only get a gain out of it if you guys buy it and it becomes popular. And then more people buy it. But it can be like a big party if it goes well. That's the thing. If it starts going well for all the people who've jumped in early, it's going to be like a party once everybody else starts pouring in. Just like tech stocks in the late 90s is what you could see. I'm thinking with initial coin offerings and stuff. We'll see, unless Bitcoin has the market cornered and everybody goes to Bitcoin. But I think there need to be alternatives to that. That's why you have Ethereum, and Ethereum's another option, by the way. I take donations in all three. Did I tell you about donations? You can support the show on Patreon with dollars. Only $1 a month gets you access to extra videos, which I haven't made. Well, I made one coming back from Mount Shasta. I'll probably make some more. Now that we're back to the daily show, well, I still try to make them for you guys. And then paypal.me/lifttheveil. And that lets me do stuff like the trip to Shasta. Oh, and as far as me buying cryptocurrency, well, the first month I ever had more than enough money to actually pay for my food and stuff was last month from the George Webb thing. So I was able to do that trip, and I was able to buy a couple LiteCoin. So... But it's an investment in the future. It's important. I don't spend money on other stuff too that everybody else does. Alcohol and drugs and hookers. All stuff I used to spend money on. Not anymore. Because I can't ask for money if I do stuff like that. I'll take one more call maybe. Unless it's over. Oh, you know what? It's been a long show and that was a great call. Okay, great. I'll take it. Let's see if I can answer it. Just came in at a time. This is Nathan.
Hey.
Hey.
Nathan.
Hey.
Hey, I got those Pete.
Hey, Pete.
Hey,
What's up?
hey, how you doing?
Good.
It's good to see you back.
Thanks.
The other day, yesterday, I think they do that they're just doing all these, it used to be about guns. Now I think all this fakery, these hoaxes, it's just to have chaos and just so people don't know what the hell to believe. That's all. I think if somebody comes up with a plan, so, someone that's working for them in that field, and they come up with a plan and they get enough people to go along with it and all that, then they just okay it and then they just do it.
Yeah. Yeah, well, it could be. It's regardless of whatever the motives are behind all of the psyops and all kinds of things that we see in this world. If you just think about them in terms of trying to make you crazy, trying to make you upset, it kind of everything kind of goes along those lines. So then it doesn't matter what the exact agenda is. It's trying to make you nuts and trying to make you feel helpless, kind of.
Yeah, I love that kid. First of all, it doesn't look like he could, be her son at all. Right. And then he goes and he says, well, it kind of goes like this, right? Who the hell talks like that when their mother just died?
Oh, it's just
remember how he started it off, and then you caught that other sentence the same way I did, when a guy said something about, I think it was her husband, or fiance or whatever, when he said that line, and it included she was always like really funny. I mean, you can't even get the word funny out when somebody has just died. You know what I mean?
She was darn funny, and I was like,
yeah, darn funny or something. That word
corny.
would get caught in your throat.
Yeah, it was so corny.
And then yeah, you caught that too. You replayed it right away. And then the other thing is, if you had a mother that looked like that, and you're about 20 years old, there would be 5 guys in the background crying their eyes out. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
You'd have at least 5 or 6 friends that, and they would be in the background crying, bawling their eyes out.
Yeah,
Yeah, no, the whole thing was just it's meant to be crazy. It's meant to look goofy. I don't think they care anymore. I think they're beyond that.
Interesting point. Yeah, people have been saying that lately, that they do it intentionally.
Yeah,
just to fuck with us.
Yeah, now you've got, with all this stuff with NASA, just think of all the people that work for NASA that have to listen to this stuff from their friends who caught on by now watching YouTube. These guys, just 2 or 3 years ago was so cool. They had these cool jobs working for NASA, making the big bucks. Now they must feel like idiots.
You think enough people? Right? It depends. I don't know how many people know. I don't know how many people know. Yeah, there was a guy that worked for NASA that used to come by the dealer I worked at because we had a little restaurant and stuff, and he was cool. And I don't know. Most of them don't know what the hell they're doing. But yeah, I wonder. It's the same way I wonder about people who work for like SpaceX. Do they realize?
Well, of course. Well, like you said, that's it. Up until about 2 years ago, I don't think anybody knew what was going on. I think a lot of, exponentially, everything just took off in like the last couple of years.
I just joined up,
Flat Earth.
I only started, it kind of, Flat Earth is sort of what I was going to go to too. Yeah, that started, I guess, in 2015 basically right when Jaron started making videos. Flat Earth was taking off, and then I started making videos at the end of 2015. Seeing what I was seeing on YouTube and thinking to myself, wow, if somebody could present this stuff in a reasonable way, then people are going to really get into it. And at the same time, you see other channels like Call for an Uprising was a relatively new channel. Grace just recently got into making videos about conspiracy theory stuff. I don't think she was doing that before 2015. So you're right. There has been something, and it's good. It's good, isn't it?
Yeah. And if nothing, I hate to see it, but if nothing ever came out of Pizzagate, at least it got all this going.
At least it woke a lot of people up.
It joined everybody together,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, that's why it's, there's always good and bad. And, it was a disinformation campaign, but look at it. Look at all these people that ended up on this channel. Same with Alex Jones, probably a ton of my audience. The first thing they saw was Alex Jones. And then eventually they got here, but without Alex Jones.
I wish I was prepared. I'm driving right now, and I didn't think I was going to get through. I tried to get through yesterday, but I can't. But it didn't matter. I came across this guy last night, and you've probably heard of oh geez, what the hell?
Did I lose you?
Have you heard?
Oh,
Ken O'Keefe. Have you heard of Ken O'Keefe?
I think I don't know. Maybe I'm mixing it up with the other O'Keefe who does the videos.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
right.
Go ahead. No. Who is he?
Oh, instead of going there, no, I just heard a guy last night. He's Australian, and he's stuck in Malaysia right now, and he's going to prison. And I don't know. He just really seemed to he's saying kind of like made me really start wondering. I went to the next level last night. He's got Trump, Netanyahu, and Putin all in bed together.
Yeah, me too, kind of.
Yeah, and they're saying Iran's kind of even a player. The dark state in Iran is a player too. They're not going to bomb Iran. They're all in this all together. It's all about oil, money, pipelines.
Yeah, I think they're even. I don't even know if we're trying to take out Syria anymore. Like, I don't know if the war is real anymore. The whole operation that had lasted for months in Mosul, I just don't know. They'll send you pictures and they'll tell you stories. And now the same thing, they're apparently going to go into Raqqa. And now I don't know. They say they're not going to be any journalists there to report on it. Nobody knows what's really happening in Raqqa. So, and I don't think the Tomahawk missile launch against Syria was real. I don't think the big bomb dropped in the desert was real. So I'm starting to think, yeah, everybody's just working together. It's mainly that they realize that being on the brink of war is just as valuable, and that really it's just about keeping our own populations in the right amount of fear, and that if everybody participates in that game, then they all benefit too. And you don't ever have to do anything.
And then they just pivoted. I mean, I think when Syria that didn't go off the way they wanted it to with Obama. Then they just did a pivot, and they're off on another angle. But another one I wanted to mention too, and I don't hear anybody talking about this guy, and he was like my favorite for like comedy relief, and he just disappeared, and you kind of knew he was so over the top with all these people, and just joking about them and putting together these incredible visual videos. And his name was he didn't have a real name. He went by Barry Soetoro. Do you remember that, Jim?
Yeah, Barry. It's gone. I love him.
I know, me too.
Oh,
literally gone. Been gone for about 2 months.
Oh, it has. Wow, I was following him because he was covering real shit. And you know what?
I know it. He was the big guy with the Sandy Hook.
Yeah,
right.
And he was covering the real shit.
Who picked out the actor do a double role? Huh. They had to do a double role. Well, they put this in your face.
Right. Sandy Hook.
That's what
was
I'm
deliberate.
saying.
Yeah, Sandy Hook was deliberately done that way. So we knew it
to
was
make you realize it's hopeless.
Yeah, it's weird.
I think.
Well, I wonder about Barry. The reason it strikes chord is he followed me on Twitter recently, Barry Soetoro Esquire, and I was like, oh, is that Barry Soetoro or Soetoro or whatever you say? So I wonder if that's the real him. Here,
is it
Barry
possible
Soetoro
since he's
Esquire.
Gone, somebody else just thought that was a clever name and they're using it now?
Absolutely. So this is a person that followed me, and he's retweeting something National Hot Dog Day. He's retweeting some stuff. I don't know. I'll have to look.
He was a heavy dude. He was really.
Here. I got something for everybody.
He was picking out some stuff that was really heavy. I mean, I don't know how he did it, and then the visuals, how he did all that graphic stuff is amazing.
Yeah, well, I have a post here.
I mean, he was great. He was funny as hell. I always look forward to him. He'd almost have like a video a day.
He was on point. I'm looking at a post on Steemit. I'll show it. I'll let you go, and I'll show this post from Steemit where he says he's alive. Barry Soetoro alive. And there's a video, it says. I don't see a video.
Did you say alive, L-I-V-E?
No, alive. Here, and then there's a video too. Maybe I'll play it and then wrap up the show. See what's up. Right. It says he made a video announcement, I guess. So I wonder if it's really him.
Yeah. Well, his videos remained on there for a while, and then I went in and it said he was off to something big. He was off to something new or something.
Maybe it's
and he left the Sandy hoax and all that there. But then I went back recently, about a week ago, and he's completely gone. Gone.
He's saying he moved to Steemit, so maybe I'll look at this video. And maybe he's trying to make money on Steemit. That's what a lot of people are trying to be convinced into doing. More cryptocurrency. So I'll look at it, and if you look it up, just look up Barry Soetoro, and Steemit. Just put in Barry Soetoro Steemit, and I think you'll find it.
I will. All right, Nathan.
Cool,
man.
Care. Be good.
Talk to you.
Okay. Should I play it? I'll save it. I'll look into it and I'll save it, so I don't have to end the show with it. Okay. Wow. What a great show. We're doing great. Thanks for tuning in. Not everybody's here yet. Subscribe, hit the bell, and because I'm here at 111, the show's, we got to be more predictable for people to tune in too. So we'll build up a real audience again, and it was great. Awesome phone calls today. And tomorrow I have to be in court, so in the morning, so I might not have the show. So that's what I'll have to do, is just announce to you guys that when I can't do it. Maybe I'll do it later in the day. Maybe I'll do it later in the day. So, and I'll be looking, I always say this and never do it, but I'd be looking to have people on the show too. Maybe more. And like I said, I asked Jaron to come on. So maybe Jaron can come on. We can talk even more about cryptocurrency, or I could invite David Seaman on. Oh, and he's right about Bitcoin being used by criminals, and that's mainly how it took off. So that's another reason I thought about investing in something different like Ethereum, or when I saw LiteCoin was available, I just bought that. So that's what's up. Okay. So I'll see you. Oh, I might see you tomorrow. Probably 1:11 might be a little too soon, considering I'm supposed to be in court and stuff. I don't know how long I'm going to be stuck there. Maybe it'll be really quick, though. It might be relatively easy, like 30 minutes or something, in which case maybe I will be here, right? So that's it. Tell all your friends about me, and I'll see you on the next one, okay? Peace. Oh, wait, I go to a screen here. That's what I do. I go to a screen, and I mute my mic,